La Tierra no envió generals, envió asesinos con uniformes militares. Ilion stood on the bridge of the human starship, staring out at the endless black of space. Stars glittered like tiny diamonds, but he could feel the tension in the air as clearly as if it were a storm on a planet below. The human fleet had not come to negotiate, not even to send generals. The world leaders had chosen a different approach, a group of humans trained to handle the impossible, humans who did not rely only on rank or tradition. They called them the Earth's elite, but among the alien systems they were quickly earning a different name, killers in uniforms. Ilion did not like the term. It sounded too harsh, too cruel, but he understood why it spread. Humans did not fight like other species. Their ship was small compared to the massive cruisers of the alien fleet that awaited them near the Ryloth sector. The aliens were organized, disciplined, and proud. They expected generals to give them commands, strategists to plan movements, and diplomats to negotiate terms. They did not expect humans to arrive like a storm, unpredictable, bold, and focused. Ilion's team had prepared for this for years. Every movement, every calculation, every decision had been trained to the point of instinct. But instincts alone were not enough. They had to be sharper, faster, smarter than any alien mind that might underestimate them. The human team gathered quietly in the ship's central room. There were 6 of them: Ilion, the leader; Mara, the tactical expert; Joran, the engineer; Lena, the communications specialist; Finn, the reconnaissance scout; and Kale, the weapons strategist. Each of them had been trained to handle not just combat but diplomacy when needed, survival in hostile environments, and most importantly, creative problem-solving. That was what made them dangerous. That was what the aliens did not expect. Ilion looked at each of his team members. There was no fear on their faces, only focus. They did not need to speak. They all knew the mission. The target was a heavily fortified outpost on the edge of the Ryloth sector, controlled by a species known as the Vorthari. The Vorthari had been using the outpost to expand their influence into neighboring systems, manipulating smaller planets with threats of force. The Earth Council had decided that the Vorthari could no longer be allowed to continue. "This is it," Ilion said quietly, though his voice carried authority. "We are not generals, we are not diplomats, we are humans, and humans do things differently. Follow the plan, trust each other, and we will succeed. No one expects us to act like they do." "That is our advantage," Mara nodded. "We know what to do, they won't see it coming." The ship moved silently through space, approaching the Vorthari outpost. It was massive, a fortress floating in orbit around a rocky planet. The aliens had shields, defensive drones, and automated weapons systems designed to detect intruders long before they approached. Ilion studied the sensors, plotting a path that would take them through blind spots in the defense grid. Every step had to be precise. There was no room for error. Finn scanned the area, sending updates to Ilion. "We have a small window. If we move now, we can approach the outpost without being detected. But once we are inside the perimeter, the real challenge begins." Ilion nodded. "Good." "Mara, take the lead on infiltration. Kale, prepare the weapons. Joran, make sure all systems are ready to adapt to any failure. Lena, stay on communications. Finn, guide us through the blind spots. Let's move." The human team suited up in their light, flexible combat uniforms. Unlike the bulky armor the aliens wore, these uniforms allowed freedom of movement and were equipped with stealth systems that made them nearly invisible to standard sensors. The humans boarded a smaller craft and launched toward the outpost. Silence filled the cabin. Each member focused, knowing the mission depended on their skill, speed, and teamwork. As they approached the outpost, the massive alien structure loomed over them. Its walls shimmered with energy shields, and automated turrets rotated slowly, scanning for intruders. To any ordinary species, the fortress would have been intimidating, but humans did not see fear the way others did. They saw patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities. Ilion signaled Mara. She moved first, directing the small craft into a blind spot identified by Finn. The shields flickered for a moment as their stealth technology interacted with the alien systems. The humans held their breath. The seconds stretched long and heavy. Then the craft slipped past the outer defenses without triggering any alarms. Inside the outpost, the situation changed. Hallways were tight, surveillance cameras scanned constantly, and automated drones hovered, ready to attack any intruder. Ilion's team moved like shadows, communicating silently with hand signals and subtle gestures. They had trained for this exact moment, but the unpredictability of real combat always added a tension no simulation could match. They reached the central control hub of the outpost. From there, they could disable the shields, giving the rest of the human fleet an opportunity to act if needed. Ilion glanced at Mara, who nodded. They entered the hub together, quickly analyzing the control panels. Alien technology was advanced, but humans had a unique way of thinking, improvising solutions, seeing connections others missed. Joran worked on bypassing the security system, while Kale kept watch for any approaching threats. "Almost there," Joran whispered. "Just a few more sequences." Suddenly, a warning light flashed. An alien patrol had detected something unusual. Turrets began to move toward their location. The team reacted instantly. Humans did not panic, they adapted. Kale activated a temporary jamming device that confused the turrets, while Mara and Ilion moved to secure the entrance. Finn guided the team through a side corridor to avoid the main patrol. Within minutes, the humans had disabled the central defense grid. The fortress's shields flickered and then dropped, exposing the outpost to the fleet waiting in orbit. From the safety of the ship, Ilion watched as their small human team had accomplished what seemed impossible. The Vorthari had expected generals and soldiers acting in predictable ways. They had not expected humans thinking, adapting, and acting with a combination of courage and ingenuity. The first confrontation was over, but Ilion knew this was only the beginning. The reputation of humans as killers in uniforms would spread quickly. Other alien civilizations would hear the story, and fear mixed with respect would follow. But Ilion also knew the truth. They were not killers. They were humans doing what humans do best, surviving, adapting, and facing impossible odds with intelligence and bravery. As the team regrouped on the ship, Ilion looked at each member and smiled faintly. They had completed the mission without unnecessary bloodshed. Their skills had been tested, their courage proven, and their reputation had begun to grow. The universe was starting to understand one thing: humans were not predictable. Humans were not conventional. Humans were dangerous in ways that no alien could fully anticipate. "Good work," Ilion said. "We made them see what humans can do, but remember, this is just the first step. We have a long path ahead, and the galaxy will test us in ways we cannot yet imagine. We need to stay sharp, stay together, and keep proving what humans are capable of." Mara nodded, looking out at the stars. "They won't forget this, and neither will we." The small ship turned back toward the human fleet, moving silently through the dark expanse. The first battle was won, but the story of humanity was only beginning. Every decision, every act of bravery would shape how the galaxy saw Earth and its people. The humans did not fight for glory or conquest. They fought because they had to, because they believed in their own strength, ingenuity, and honor. Ilion closed his eyes for a moment, taking a deep breath. He could feel the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, but he also felt a surge of hope. The humans were different, and that difference was powerful. The galaxy would remember this moment, the day humans arrived not as generals, but as something entirely new, something unpredictable, something unstoppable. And as the stars stretched infinitely around them, Ilion knew one thing for certain. The humans had only just begun to show the universe what they were truly capable of. After the first mission, the humans returned to their fleet orbiting the Ryloth sector. The alien worlds had already begun to whisper about what had happened. Word spread faster than any message could travel. Humans were not generals, humans were not diplomats, they were something else entirely, something terrifying and clever. Ilion walked through the corridors of the main ship, listening to the hum of engines and the soft voices of his team. He felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Each victory only increased expectations. Mara joined him, holding a small tablet that displayed sensor readings from neighboring systems. "They are talking," she said. "All across the sector, Vorthari colonies are alerting each other. They expect another attack." Ilion nodded. "Good, let them be on edge. Fear makes them predictable, but we must stay careful. We are not invincible. One mistake and this could all go wrong." The team gathered to review their next mission. The humans had proven their skill, but now they needed to expand their influence without causing unnecessary destruction. Their objective was to secure alliances with neutral planets that were under threat from the Vorthari. These worlds had resources, intelligence, and technology that could turn the tide of control in the sector. Convincing them to cooperate would be a challenge. These planets were wary of humans, having never interacted with them before. Finn, the reconnaissance specialist, pulled up a map of the sector. "There's a planet here," he said, pointing. "It's called Sciarth. They are neutral, but the Vorthari have been pressuring them. If we can secure Sciarth, it will send a strong message to neighboring systems." Lena, the communications expert, looked thoughtful. "We need to approach them carefully. They don't trust outsiders, and humans are practically unknown to them. Any aggressive move could backfire." Ilion considered the information. "We have to show them our strength without threatening them. That is why we are different. We do not conquer with fear, we win respect with action, creativity, and clarity." The fleet moved toward Sciarth. As they approached, scouts reported heavy monitoring by Vorthari drones. The humans would have to be clever. Ilion ordered the team to split into two groups. One would approach the planet's surface under stealth conditions, and the other would remain in orbit, ready to provide support if needed. Mara led the ground team. They descended in small, agile shuttles, each equipped with the same stealth technology that had worked so well at the outpost. Finn guided them through safe corridors of atmosphere, avoiding detection. The humans landed quietly on Sciarth, greeted by the natural beauty of the planet. Vast oceans, green plains, and skies streaked with golden sunlight. But beauty did not ease their mission. They were here to protect, not conquer, and every decision could affect the planet's response. The human team approached the Planetary Council, representatives of Sciarth who had heard stories of Earth's arrival. They were cautious, their eyes sharp, their posture defensive. Ilion stepped forward, projecting calm authority. "We come from Earth," he said. "You may have heard stories about us. Some are true. Humans are capable and adaptable, but we are not here to fight you. We are here to help you defend your planet from threats you cannot handle alone." The council exchanged glances. One elder, a tall being with translucent skin, spoke. "We have heard rumors. They say your people are different, that you do not act like others, that you can change outcomes where others fail. Why should we trust you?" Ilion did not hesitate. "Because we have already proven ourselves. We succeeded where others would fail, but trust is not given lightly, and we do not demand it. We act with integrity, with intelligence, and with respect for life. We are humans, and humans act differently. That is our strength." The council was silent for a moment. Mara stepped forward, showing the council the small device that mapped the Vorthari movements. "We have data," she said. "We know how they plan to attack your planet and how you can defend against them. We can guide you, train your forces, and work together. You do not have to fight alone." After hours of discussion, the council began to see the value in the humans' approach. Ilion's calm confidence, Mara's tactical knowledge, and the team's professionalism convinced them that humans could be trusted. Agreements were made, plans laid out, and the humans left a lasting impression. The planet would now stand strong, protected by the guidance of humans without needing to surrender autonomy or dignity. As the team returned to orbit, Ilion reflected on what had just happened. Humans did not just fight, they inspired. Other species had armies, generals, and strict strategies, but humans had something else: ingenuity, courage, and the ability to act decisively under pressure. That combination made them unpredictable, and in a universe where predictability was a weapon, humans had an advantage no one else could match. The next challenge came quickly. Scouts reported that a Vorthari fleet was approaching Sciarth, hoping to intimidate the planet into submission. Ilion studied the readings carefully. The fleet was powerful, with advanced weapons and strict coordination. But humans had an advantage they could use: creativity and strategy. Ilion called a meeting with the team. "We will not fight them the way they expect," he said. "They will anticipate conventional moves, standard defenses, and predictable tactics. We will use what humans do best: thinking differently, adapting, and acting where they do not expect. Mara, you will guide the planetary defenses. Kale, coordinate our ships to create diversions. Finn, watch their movements. Lena, maintain communications and coordinate signals. Joran, be ready to improvise technology to disrupt them. This is what we do. Humans do not follow patterns others expect." The humans moved into position. As the Vorthari fleet entered orbit, they were surprised. Planets that had always relied on intimidation were now using unexpected strategies, guided by humans. Mara's instructions allowed planetary forces to set traps, ambushes, and defensive formations that the Vorthari had not calculated. Kale's diversion tactics drew portions of the enemy fleet away from critical points. Finn's reconnaissance reports allowed real-time adjustments. Joran's technology disrupted communications and sensor readings, making the alien forces uncertain and cautious. Ilion watched it all unfold, feeling a mixture of pride and focus. The humans were showing that strength was not always about size, numbers, or advanced weapons. It was about intelligence, coordination, and courage. The Vorthari fleet hesitated, unsure how to respond. The humans had changed the rules of engagement simply by being humans. Hours passed, and the Vorthari fleet withdrew, realizing that a direct attack would be costly and likely fail. Sciarth was safe not because of overwhelming force, but because humans acted decisively and creatively. The planet now had hope, a new perspective on what was possible. Ilion's team returned to their ship, exhausted but triumphant. As the humans regrouped, Ilion spoke to them quietly. "We have done more than defend a planet. We have shown another species that humans are not predictable, that we can act with courage, intelligence, and honor. That is our true power. Other civilizations will learn this and they will respect it. They may fear it, but respect and fear together create understanding, and that understanding will help us in the missions to come." Mara smiled. "They will not forget us. And they will not forget what humans are capable of. The galaxy is starting to realize something important." Ilion looked out the viewport at the stars stretching endlessly ahead. "Yes, and this is only the beginning. There are more planets, more threats, and more opportunities. Humans have the chance to show the universe what we are capable of. We do not need to follow old rules. We do not need to fight like others. We adapt, we learn, and we act. That is why we will succeed where others fail." The team shared a quiet moment, understanding the weight of what they had accomplished and the challenges still ahead. They were humans in a vast, uncertain galaxy, but they were not ordinary. They were different, unpredictable, and capable of extraordinary things. And as the human fleet moved toward the next system, Ilion knew the story of humanity was growing. Each mission, each act of courage, each creative solution was adding to a reputation that no one could ignore. The galaxy had begun to understand that humans were not like other species. They did not need generals to command them. They did not need tradition to guide them. They only needed themselves, intelligent, courageous, and relentless. And that difference, Ilion knew, would shape the future of every system they encountered. As night fell over Sciarth's oceans, Ilion allowed himself a brief moment of reflection. Humans were not perfect, but they had something unique. Creativity, determination, and a willingness to face impossible odds. That was their strength. And as the stars glimmered beyond the planet's horizon, he understood that humans had only just begun to leave their mark on the galaxy. After securing Sciarth, Ilion and his team continued their journey through the Ryloth sector. Word of their actions had spread across neighboring systems. Humans were becoming a symbol of unpredictability and strength, not through sheer numbers or overwhelming weapons, but through creativity, courage, and adaptability. Other species whispered their names in cautious awe. Even those who had never seen humans began to prepare differently, unsure how to anticipate actions that did not follow conventional logic. The next mission was more complicated. The Vorthari had strongholds across multiple planets, and they were beginning to coordinate their forces to counter the humans. The human team was ordered to infiltrate a heavily fortified world, Calith, where the Vorthari controlled both military installations and civilian areas. The planet had long been a strategic hub, and if it fell under human influence, it would send a powerful message across the sector. But Calith was different from Sciarth. It was larger, more technologically advanced, and guarded by layers of surveillance and patrols. Ilion gathered the team in the planning room. "Calith will test us in ways we have not faced before. This is not just about combat. It is about strategy, observation, and creativity. The Vorthari believe their rules are absolute, but humans do not follow rules that others expect. We will find ways to turn their own systems against them." Mara displayed detailed maps of Calith's defenses. "They have orbital satellites, automated turrets, and hundreds of drones monitoring the surface. Any direct approach will fail. We must move silently, bypassing or neutralizing their detection systems." Joran leaned forward. Their technology is advanced, but it is rigid. I can modify our equipment to interact with their sensors in ways they do not anticipate. It will take precision, but it is possible. Finn spoke next, pointing at the topography of the planet. The terrain is uneven. Mountains, canyons, and forests cover much of the surface. We can use that to our advantage, staying out of line of sight and moving unpredictably. Ilion nodded. Good. Kale, your weapons support will be ready to create diversions if necessary. Lena, keep all communications secure. We cannot afford mistakes. Remember, we are humans. Our strength is adaptability. Be ready to improvise. Stay alert and trust each other. That is what will get us through this mission. The team prepared small shuttles equipped with advanced stealth technology. Unlike conventional armored drops, these shuttles were agile, quiet, and capable of landing in tight spaces. The humans moved in silence, descending toward Calith under the cover of clouds and terrain shadows. Every member understood the stakes. A single misstep could compromise the mission, but humans had a unique skill. They thrived under pressure, thinking and acting in ways no one could fully predict. Upon landing, the team split into two groups. Ilion, Mara, and Finn would move toward the central command hub of the Vorthari, the place that controlled surveillance, communication, and defenses. Kale, Joran, and Lena would secure backup positions, prepared to disrupt systems or provide cover if the situation changed. The plan required coordination, precision, and timing. As they navigated through dense forests and rocky canyons, the humans observed their surroundings with sharp attention. Alien patrols moved predictably, following programmed paths. Automated drones scanned the area with sophisticated sensors, but humans had studied these patterns and found gaps. Finn led the way, guiding the team silently, while Mara and Ilion monitored for unexpected changes. Hours passed. The humans reached a clearing near the central hub. From this position, they could see the massive structure, its walls pulsing with energy and turrets rotating slowly, scanning the perimeter. To most species, this would be an intimidating sight. But humans did not see fear the way others did. They saw opportunity. Joran worked on his portable device, a compact system designed to interact with alien technology. If I can sync with their sensors for just a few minutes, we can create a blind spot in their detection grid. It will allow us to move inside without alerting the main force. Ilion nodded. Do it. Timing is critical. Everyone stay focused. We move when the window opens. As the device activated, the humans slipped through the perimeter undetected. Inside the hub, corridors were tight and walls lined with alien technology that could immobilize or alert defenses. The humans moved in synchronized steps, each one anticipating the next. Mara led them through key sections, while Ilion ensured they maintained stealth. Kale and Lena maintained a secure link, ready to act if reinforcements arrived. At the central control room, Ilion observed the systems. Alien technology was precise, structured, and efficient, but it lacked creativity. Humans could exploit that rigidity. Joran interfaced with the system, bypassing security protocols in ways the aliens had not designed for. It required not just skill, but intuition, understanding the purpose behind the technology, not just the function. Suddenly, alarms flashed. A patrol had discovered a minor anomaly. Automated turrets turned toward their position. The humans did not panic. Kale activated a small device that emitted signals confusing the turrets, while Finn guided the team through a side corridor. The team moved swiftly, avoiding contact, and reached the central console. Mara worked quickly, analyzing control panels. We can shut down surveillance temporarily, she said. It will give the rest of the team a chance to secure key areas and create diversions. Ilion nodded. Do it, timing is everything. With a few precise commands, surveillance systems flickered and went offline. The humans moved through the hub, disabling automated defenses and creating chaos that the Vorthari could not immediately understand. Other patrols, encountering unusual activity, hesitated, unsure how to respond. Human unpredictability was their weapon. Hours passed as the team navigated the hub, avoiding combat when possible and using creativity when necessary. They set traps for reinforcements, rerouted communications, and left the aliens uncertain of their own systems. Humans did not destroy indiscriminately. They neutralized threats strategically, ensuring minimal collateral damage while achieving maximum effect. Finally, they reached the central command core. From here, they could influence the entire hub, control defenses, and ensure the planet's security. Ilion and Mara worked together, coordinating commands with precision. The humans were a single, cohesive unit, operating faster and smarter than any alien could anticipate. Once control was established, Ilion contacted the team outside. "The hub is secure. Initiate diversions now." Kale and Joran executed their plans, creating illusions of human forces appearing in multiple locations. Drones and patrols scrambled in confusion, unable to determine the true positions of the humans. Lena maintained communication with Scythe and the fleet, relaying updates and coordinating potential support. The Vorthari were disoriented, unable to predict the humans' next moves. By the end of the mission, Calith was secure. Humans had demonstrated once again that they could achieve what others deemed impossible. They had neutralized threats without unnecessary violence, used intelligence and strategy over brute force, and inspired confidence in allies while sowing confusion among enemies. As the team gathered in the control room, Ilion addressed them quietly. "This is why humans are different. We do not fight like others. We do not act like others. We adapt, we innovate, and we act with intelligence. That is why we succeed. And that is why the galaxy will remember us." Mara smiled. "They may fear us, but they will respect us too, and respect opens doors that fear alone cannot." Ilion looked out at the city lights of Calith below. "Yes, humans are unpredictable, adaptable, and brave. That is our greatest strength. We do not need to follow conventions. We make our own path, and that path will shape the galaxy." The mission complete, the humans returned to their fleet. Exhausted but triumphant, they reflected on what they had accomplished. Each challenge they faced strengthened their skills and proved the unique value of humanity. Across the stars, their reputation continued to grow. Other civilizations began to understand that humans were not just another species. They were a force of creativity, intelligence, and courage. Ilion allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. They had faced one of the most fortified planets in the sector and succeeded without unnecessary destruction. Humans were not only surviving, they were showing the galaxy a new way to approach conflict. It was a combination of skill, strategy, and the human spirit that no one could replicate. As the fleet moved toward the next objective, Ilion knew that the real test was just beginning. More challenges awaited, more adversaries would rise, and the humans would have to continue proving themselves. But he also knew this: humans were not like any other species. Their ingenuity, courage, and adaptability gave them an edge that no enemy could fully anticipate. And as the stars stretched endlessly around them, Ilion realized the truth of it. Humans were not just fighters. They were problem solvers, thinkers, and pioneers. They were unpredictable, and in a universe that valued predictability, that was a power no one could ignore. The story of humanity was unfolding across the stars, and Calith was just the beginning. With every mission, every act of ingenuity, humans were leaving a mark on the galaxy that would not be forgotten. After the successful mission on Calith, the human fleet moved deeper into the Ryloth sector. The galaxy was beginning to take notice. Across multiple star systems, whispers of human ingenuity, courage, and unpredictability spread like wildfire. The humans were no longer seen as a conventional military force. They were something entirely different, forces that adapted, improvised, and succeeded where others failed. Ilion reviewed reports from scouts. The Vorthari, humiliated and disoriented by previous missions, were gathering reinforcements. Several allied systems had started preparing defensive strategies to resist the humans, but many others were curious, intrigued by the humans' approach. Some even reached out for dialogue, seeking guidance on how to protect themselves or negotiate with the Vorthari. Humanity was becoming both a symbol of hope and a source of fear. The next mission would test the humans' ability to negotiate, influence, and coordinate with multiple species while still remaining vigilant against enemies. Ilion called the team to the planning room. "We are entering a more complex phase. We are not just fighting isolated battles now. We must show leadership, intelligence, and honor. Our goal is to create alliances and ensure that we can face the Vorthari collectively without unnecessary destruction. But we must remain prepared for deception. Not every species we meet will have pure intentions." Mara projected a map of the upcoming sectors. "There is a system called Vyerth, Several planets are neutral but under indirect pressure from the Vorthari. They fear retaliation if they assist us. We need to show them that working with humans is safe and effective, but we cannot rely on intimidation. That will only backfire. We need strategy, patience, and understanding. Lena, the communications expert, looked thoughtful. We will need to build trust first. They need to see humans as allies, not just a strange force of unpredictable tactics. I can coordinate messages, demonstrations, and simulations to prove our capability without threatening them. Ilion nodded. Good. Finn and Kale, you will handle reconnaissance and security during interactions. Mara and Joran, prepare contingency plans if the Vorthari attempt interference. And I will oversee negotiations personally. Remember, humans are not conquerors. We do not seek to dominate. We seek cooperation, intelligence, and understanding. That is why others will respect us. The fleet moved quietly toward the Vyerth system. Scouts reported high surveillance from the Vorthari, but also signs of curiosity among the neutral planets. The humans prepared small diplomatic shuttles that could land on multiple planets simultaneously. These ships were equipped to demonstrate defensive capabilities, strategic simulations, and communication networks that would help allies protect themselves while remaining independent. Upon arrival, Ilion and his team were greeted by representatives from 3 planets, Narvan, Tiller, and Kieras. Each species was distinct, with unique appearances and communication methods, but all shared one common trait: caution. They had heard stories of humans, but curiosity battled with fear. Ilion understood this. Humans were unusual in their approach to power. They relied on intelligence, ingenuity, and courage rather than rigid hierarchy or brute force. Demonstrating that effectively would require patience and skill. Ilion stepped forward, speaking clearly and calmly. We understand your concerns. Humans are not here to conquer or intimidate. We come to offer assistance and guidance. You may have seen how the Vorthari operate, using fear to control others. We act differently. Our methods are based on intelligence, adaptability, and collaboration. We can help you protect your systems and ensure your independence, but we will not impose our will. That is the difference. The representatives exchanged glances. One elder from Narvan spoke first. We have heard tales. They say humans are unpredictable and capable, but we have also heard that humans can be dangerous. How do we know we can trust you? Ilion gestured toward Mara. Trust is earned through actions, not promises. Allow us to demonstrate our methods. We can provide simulations of potential Vorthari attacks and how your systems could respond with human guidance. We can show you strategies that rely on intelligence and adaptability rather than fear or overwhelming force. That is what humans do. We act decisively, but with respect and understanding. Mara activated the simulation devices. Each planet's representatives watched as holographic scenarios displayed potential attacks and human-guided responses. Defensive measures were calculated and efficient, demonstrating how to protect critical infrastructure, detect ambushes, and maintain communication. The representatives could see the logic, precision, and adaptability of human strategies. One representative from Kieras leaned forward. This is impressive. Your approach is unlike anything we have seen. You do not rely on sheer numbers or intimidation. You rely on intelligence and coordination. But can this be applied in real situations? The Vorthari will not wait for simulations. Ilion nodded. We understand. That is why our team is prepared to act alongside you if necessary. We can implement these strategies in practice, training your personnel to adapt and respond effectively. Humans are not bound by rigid rules. We improvise when needed, ensuring success even in unpredictable situations. Over several days, the humans conducted training, simulations, and strategic demonstrations. Representatives began to see the value of human methods. They learned to trust that humans did not act impulsively or cruelly, but intelligently and decisively. Slowly, a coalition began to form, with each planet agreeing to coordinate with humans and each other to counter Vorthari influence. During this time, Ilion and his team discovered a subtle deception. Some factions within the Vyerth system were secretly reporting human strategies to the Vorthari, hoping to gain favor or protection. Ilion recognized that trust had limits, and humans had to remain vigilant. He adjusted their plans, ensuring that even if information was leaked, the coalition's defenses remained effective. Humans were not only demonstrating their value, they were also protecting against hidden threats. One evening, Ilion stood on the observation deck, looking at the 3 planets in the system. Lights flickered across cities, and fleets of small defense ships moved quietly through orbit. The coalition was forming. The humans had done more than demonstrate skill. They had inspired confidence, created unity, and built a network that could withstand future challenges. Mara joined him. It's remarkable. They are beginning to see humans differently, not just as warriors, but as partners, allies. They respect what we have done even if they are cautious. Ilion nodded. Caution is natural, but respect is earned through action. That is what humans do. We act with intelligence, courage, and creativity. That is why we succeed. And that is why other species will follow our example, not through fear, but through admiration. The coalition received word that a Vorthari force was approaching one of the planets, hoping to disrupt the formation and intimidate the leaders. Ilion immediately convened his team. This is the real test. We have shown them our value, but now we must act decisively. We will not fight with overwhelming force. We will guide, adapt, and coordinate. Humans do not rely on brute strength. We rely on strategy and intelligence. That is what will save them. The humans deployed to the threatened planet. Mara coordinated planetary defenses, placing forces in positions that maximized efficiency while minimizing risk. Kale and Finn monitored enemy movements, predicting patterns and advising adjustments. Joran prepared technical support to disrupt Vorthari sensors and communication. Lena maintained communication between the coalition planets, ensuring coordination and rapid response. When the Vorthari arrived, they were confident. They had underestimated humans before, but they believed the coalition was vulnerable. What they did not anticipate was the precision and adaptability of human-guided defense. The Vorthari moved into traps, found themselves disrupted by technology they could not understand, and faced countermoves that anticipated their strategies before they acted. Humans had not just prepared defenses, they had created a system that could react, adapt, and overcome challenges in real time. After hours of careful maneuvering, the Vorthari withdrew. The coalition planets had defended themselves without unnecessary destruction, relying on strategy, intelligence, and the guidance of humans. The representatives were astonished. Humans had demonstrated that they were not only capable in combat, they were capable of leadership, coordination, and protection without domination. Ilion addressed the coalition representatives. You have done well. You have acted decisively, adapted quickly, and protected your systems. Humans do not seek to conquer. We seek to empower, guide, and act where others fail. Remember this: intelligence, courage, and adaptability will always provide strength greater than numbers or fear alone. The representatives nodded, beginning to understand the depth of human capability. Across the sector, humans were no longer just a military presence. They were leaders, problem solvers, and a symbol of what could be achieved through intelligence and courage. As the humans returned to their fleet, Ilion reflected on the mission. The galaxy was beginning to recognize humans not as generals, not as conquerors, but as something unique. They could think, adapt, and act in ways that no other species could predict. And that unpredictability, combined with honor and intelligence, was their greatest strength. Ilion allowed himself a brief moment of pride. Humans had faced complex challenges, navigated political tensions, and protected multiple worlds without resorting to unnecessary violence. Their methods were unconventional, their thinking creative, and their courage unwavering. The galaxy would remember this. And as the human fleet moved toward new sectors, Ilion knew that the story of humanity was only growing stronger. With every planet they helped, every challenge they overcame, humans were demonstrating their true power. The ability to act decisively, think creatively, and succeed where others could not. The stars stretched endlessly around them, but Ilion understood one thing clearly: humans were not just a species, they were a force. A force defined by intelligence, courage, and adaptability. And the galaxy was just beginning to understand that humans were unstoppable in their own way. The human fleet moved steadily through the Ryloth sector. Word of their previous missions had traveled far, carried on reports, rumors, and the experiences of allied worlds. Humans were no longer unknown. They were a symbol of intelligence, courage, and unpredictability. The galaxy had begun to see them not as mere soldiers, but as problem solvers, leaders, and forces capable of achieving what others could not. Ilion gathered his team on the bridge. The next mission would be their most critical. A coalition of allied planets, strengthened by human guidance, faced a massive Vorthari fleet determined to crush the rising unity. This was a test not just of skill, but of strategy, leadership, and diplomacy. The humans had to coordinate, adapt, and act decisively. Failure was not an option. "We've faced strong defenses, hostile patrols, and political challenges," Ilion said, his voice calm but firm. "This is the culmination of everything we've done." The Vorthari believe they can intimidate us, but they do not understand humans. We do not fight like they expect. We act with intelligence, creativity, and courage. That is why we will succeed. Mara analyzed reports of the approaching Vorthari fleet. They have more ships than the coalition combined, but their coordination is rigid. They rely on standard tactics and predictable formations. Humans can turn that rigidity into an advantage. If we guide the coalition properly, we can outmaneuver them without unnecessary destruction. Joran nodded. "I've prepared adaptive technology to disrupt their sensors and communications temporarily. They won't know where our forces are, giving us the chance to control the flow of the battle." Finn, scanning the approaching fleet, added, "Their movements are predictable. We can anticipate their paths, mislead them, and force them into positions that give the coalition the upper hand." Ilion turned to Lena. "Communications must be flawless. Every planet, every ship, every team member must receive instructions in real time. The moment we fail to coordinate, we lose the advantage." The human team prepared to descend to critical positions, guiding the coalition fleets in orbit and on planetary defenses. Small ships moved silently, invisible to the enemy, carrying humans who had already earned a reputation for ingenuity and bravery. The Vorthari fleet approached confidently, expecting a straightforward battle, but humans had never fought in straightforward ways. Ilion coordinated the coalition's forces from the central command hub of the fleet. Mara and Kale managed the tactical positioning of ships and planetary defenses. Finn monitored the enemy, predicting maneuvers before they occurred. Joran adjusted technical systems to disrupt Vorthari communications, and Lena maintained clear channels with every allied ship. As the Vorthari fleet entered the battle zone, confusion rippled through their ranks. Systems failed unexpectedly, formations broke down, and their standard tactics became ineffective. Humans were not simply fighting. They were guiding the coalition, adapting to the enemy, and using creativity to turn rigid strategies against them. The first wave of attacks came. Vorthari ships moved in tight formation, expecting the coalition to respond predictably. Instead, they faced countermoves that anticipated each step. Humans had placed smaller forces in strategic positions, creating diversions, ambushes, and rapid responses. The Vorthari could not understand how a smaller, less technologically overwhelming force could manipulate the battlefield so effectively. Ilion watched the battle unfold with steady focus. The humans had trained the coalition well, but the situation required continuous adaptation. Mara noticed a potential threat approaching from the rear and immediately rerouted defensive forces, using terrain and space anomalies to block the Vorthari advance. Finn provided real-time updates on enemy positions, allowing precise countermaneuvers. Despite their numerical advantage, the Vorthari began to falter. Ships were forced into disadvantageous positions, communications were disrupted, and their formations broke apart. The coalition, guided by humans, responded with intelligence and precision. Not a single move was wasted, and casualties were minimized. Hours passed, and the humans maintained control of the situation. Their strategies were unconventional, their timing perfect, and their ability to adapt unmatched. The Vorthari commanders realized they were facing something different, not merely a military force, but a new kind of intelligence, one that did not rely on rigid rules or predictable patterns. Ilion directed the final phase of the operation. "We will not destroy them unnecessarily. We will neutralize the threat, protect our allies, and show that humans act with purpose, not recklessness. Kale, initiate the final diversion. Mara, guide the coalition to strategic positions. Finn, monitor for stragglers. Joran, maintain system disruptions. Lena, keep communications clear and continuous." The final maneuvers unfolded flawlessly. Vorthari ships, confused and outmatched, were forced to retreat. Their attacks were ineffective, their plans disrupted, and their forces scattered. The coalition remained intact, having defended their planets with minimal losses. The humans had achieved what many believed impossible. A smaller, unconventional force had defeated a much larger fleet not through overwhelming firepower, but through intelligence, adaptability, and coordination. As the battle ended, the coalition leaders approached Ilion. The respect in their eyes was clear. They had witnessed human strategy firsthand, and they understood that humans were unlike any other species in the galaxy. Ilion did not speak of victory in terms of destruction. He spoke of achievement, cooperation, and intelligence. "You have shown us a new way to act," said one representative. "We have always relied on force and rigid strategy. Humans have taught us that intelligence, adaptability, and courage are more powerful than numbers or intimidation. We will remember this lesson." Ilion nodded. "Humans do not seek glory through destruction. We act with purpose, thinking creatively and adapting constantly. That is why we succeed. That is why you will succeed as well. Cooperation, intelligence, and courage, those are the true strengths of any civilization." The coalition celebrated quietly, aware that the humans had not only guided them to victory, but had inspired a new approach to problem-solving, strategy, and leadership. Across the sector, news of the battle spread rapidly. Humans were no longer seen as isolated warriors. They were respected leaders and partners in the galaxy. Later, as the human fleet moved to a safe distance, Ilion stood on the observation deck looking at the stars. The galaxy was vast, and there were still challenges ahead. But humans had proven something important. They could succeed in ways others could not anticipate. They could adapt, inspire, and lead without seeking unnecessary conflict. Mara joined him, placing a hand on his shoulder. "They will never underestimate humans again. We've changed the way the galaxy sees us." Ilion smiled faintly. "Yes, but we must remain vigilant. Our reputation is growing, and with it, expectations. There will be challenges we cannot yet see, but humans will rise to meet them as we always have. That is our nature." The fleet continued its journey, moving through uncharted systems, exploring new possibilities, and guiding allies where needed. Humans had shown that their strength was not in numbers, technology, or rank, but in creativity, intelligence, courage, and adaptability. Across the stars, civilizations began to recognize that humans were not just soldiers. They were a force capable of shaping the future of the galaxy. Ilion allowed himself a moment of reflection. He thought of the missions, the planets protected, the alliances formed, and the challenges overcome. Humans had accomplished more than survival. They had proven that a species without traditional generals or rigid hierarchies could achieve remarkable results. They had become a symbol of what courage and intelligence could achieve. Finn appeared beside him. "Do you think they understand us now, the other species?" Ilion nodded. "Some of them, others will learn soon enough. Humans are different, and that difference is powerful. We do not fight like others. We act creatively, decisively, and with courage. That is what the galaxy is beginning to understand, and that is why humans will always matter." Mara, Finn, and the rest of the team gathered around Ilion. They had faced impossible odds, navigated political and military challenges, and proven their worth repeatedly. The galaxy had seen their capabilities, and respect had been earned not through fear, but through action, intelligence, and honor. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of unknown challenges and opportunities. Ilion knew that humans would continue to rise, facing obstacles with ingenuity, courage, and collaboration. Each mission, each alliance, each victory was a step toward a future where humans would be recognized for their unique strengths. And as the fleet moved silently through space, Ilion understood that the humans' story was far from over. They had proven themselves capable of remarkable achievements, not through domination, but through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The galaxy would remember this. The universe had witnessed the arrival of humans who acted differently, thought differently, and succeeded in ways no one could predict. Ilion looked out at the stars, feeling a sense of calm determination. Humans had arrived. They were not merely soldiers. They were innovators, leaders, and guardians of a new way of thinking. And as they moved forward, the galaxy would come to understand a simple truth. Humans did not need generals to lead them, because their greatest strength lay within themselves. The story of humanity, unpredictable and unstoppable, continued to unfold across the stars, and the universe would never be the same.